Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Margarita Mamas podcast. I'm
And
Katie,
I'm Julie.
and we're two besties on a mission to help our fellow mamas unwind. Each week, we will chat kids, content, and share a mom hack designed to make your life just that little bit simpler. Jules, it's been a minute.
It has been a minute. It really has. Apologies to our vast fan base.
Our dedicated, loyal fans. Kids, parents, illness, appointments, school events, you name it, and it has kept us away. But we are thrilled to be back. So now I think we'll say like every Monday ish. We're just gonna add ish to the end of our cadence
I love it.
here and do our
Yes,
best.
yes. Well, cheers. Look, to being back here together after
Cheers.
too long. Cheers.
Too long. Cheers. What are you drinking
I'm
today?
drinking coffee because, this is a little mid-afternoon.
We are. We have like a rare. I've got baby monitors in here, and the others are like locked in a dungeon. Little weekend sneak
Yes.
away. But I also have caffeine. I have what I like to call the fridge cigarette.
I love it.
That
I love
millennial
it. I
hit.
love it.
Hold on. And I didn't open it because I was hoping to get this ASMR.
Go do it.
Let's just see if it works.
I
Did you
did,
get
yeah.
it?
It was great. It was great.
So good.
Okay, I
Few things are better than
I,
that
I
sound.
I'm so tempted to tell you what it is, but I just can't do it. Already got you a little birthday. It's not like birthday. Christmas birthday is that's the no. See,
Too
the
far.
caffeine hasn't hit in there yet. A little Christmas gift that's like hilariously related to what you just opened.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
so
yeah.
excited.
It's
I
also
can't wait.
October 7th or whatever today's date is. Um, it's October, and the fact that I'm buying Christmas gifts is a little delusional.
You're
Am
organized.
I?
Look at
Am
you.
I? I
I
think I have a
mean,
shopping problem, is what we've
well,
uncovered.
maybe. That
Husband,
might
if
be
you're
what the
watching,
actual thing
shh,
is.
no. Oh, and Milo
Ignore
would like
the.
to say a quick hello to everyone. He is
He's our third
hunting
host.
squirrels out the window. His favorite pastime. Ah, yes.
Yeah. The number of Amazon boxes that appear at my house is impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, and Amazon wants me to like combine, the shipments, and I'm just like Amazon, I get it, it's eco-friendly, but I can't wait for the syrup that goes in my coffee because then we
Mm,
all can't function. So, no, I
right.
will not
Right.
get two
Yeah.
packages. You will just send me, I mean, one package. You will send me two, please.
Yeah. For us, it's things like the baby still sleeps with like sleeping undies at nap
Mm.
time. Or I call them sleeping undies. I'm trying to trick him. They're pull-ups, but I call them sleeping undies at nap, at bedtime. And the texts going around right now between me and my husband and my nanny. Wait, are we out? Did we order? I don't know. Did you order? Well, hold on. And so that's an example for us. I'm like, okay, well, all of a sudden that needs to be here overnight
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we're gonna have a
Yeah, yeah,
problem.
yeah.
But our little hiatus, as it were, I think is in a way an elegant segue into our conversation topic here
Really
today,
is.
which is overscheduling. Overscheduling, why it happens, what to do about it. Is there anything we can do to help improve it? Um, why do you think it happens for you? I have my reasons why, and I think they're probably a little different than your reasons why. But I know we're both guilty of it. So, like, what happens in your life when all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, they're doing too many things?
I would love to say a really profound answer, but I have always been guilty my entire life of overscheduling. So this is not something that's
Mm,
necessarily new to me as a parent. I am a habitual overscheduler, whether it's work related or my own extracurriculars, which, few and far between these days, that my extracurriculars are the kids' extracurriculars. Um, but I think it's just kind of, for me, it's who I am as a person. I want to do so many things and I commit to more than what my schedule will often allow. Um,
yes.
but I've always just gotten through it, right? So I think that that's why I don't make a change in my life is because, and I think this kind of goes back to being a woman and being a mom, like I'm just going to figure it out. And so
Right.
when I say like I'm overscheduled or I'm overwhelmed, I have too much, I'm like, I've been doing it for, we're not going to give my age, 30 something years. I can get through,
Yeah.
the next couple of weeks or whatever the case may be, even the day, right? Like, how many times am I saying to you, Katie, I just got to get through today, or I just got to get through this
Right.
weekend. And then, like, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and I can, there's my little reprieve, whatever from whatever overscheduling occurred. Um, the difficulty becomes realistically for me the kids' activities that conflict. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because my husband and I, as much as, we have two kids, as much as we enjoy dividing and conquering and we can divide and conquer, the reality is maybe it's coming from a selfish point of view. I want to be at everything. And
Yep. Yeah.
so, that becomes, it's like this constant tug of, do I take my daughter to her softball game? Or do I ask for a grandparent to help out? I'm the assistant coach, so I go to the softball. That's, I
You
have
have
to
to go
go.
to the game.
But,
Yeah.
in theory, whatever the case may be, whatever, if it's a rehearsal for her, whatever it is, whatever commitment it is, um, or do I, try to make way for this other activity, to be present at it with my son? And so I
Right.
think the divide and conquer is a necessity as a parent when you have two kids. And we also do, kind of request some help from the grandparents from time to time, or even an uncle here or there, to step in and help out. But it's these commitments that are for longer periods of time, whether it's like softball, for example. She's on rec for the spring, travel for the
Right.
summer, travel for
Right.
the fall. And sometimes you don't even know what the schedule is going to be. I gave an example to you. I didn't
Yeah.
even know that my daughter's playoff game was happening until the day before. We didn't have the time, we didn't have
Right.
the
Right.
location. And so,
Yes. This is why we're rescheduling our recording
yes,
sessions,
truth be
guys.
told.
This is just one small,
Yeah.
literally, this one is one small
Yes.
example.
So, like, when we committed to fall softball, it seemed
Yep.
doable because the practices were Tuesday, Thursdays, the games were typically on a Saturday. But, you start to throw in these kind of anomalies for that commitment. And that, for me, becomes like the overscheduling nightmare. It's how do you deal
Yeah.
with these one offs? And that's why I said, like, there is reprieve. So we do, we can get through it, but that's the challenge for me. Or like taekwondo, we've got, we go on our fixed days of the week, but then what if there's a belt test, and they have to be at the
Right.
belt test? The belt test is not typically during a class time, so it's these kind of like throw in an extra one here or there that really throw off the routine. And I feel
Right.
like as moms, and more so probably maybe as women, we thrive on a routine. Maybe that's just parents, I don't know, but we thrive on having a routine, and when that gets disrupted, when we think we've scheduled properly, it becomes overwhelming.
Yeah.
What about you? How do
I
you feel
think,
it, especially as a mom of four boys? Like, that's a totally different.
yeah.
You can divide and conquer, but not
But
not
not,
really.
yeah, not
Yeah.
fully, not fully. And I think, something that you said about you want to be at everything really resonated with me. And I think in part it's because you and I were both raised by stay-at-home
Yeah.
moms who were at
Yeah.
everything. And so that's been hard for me to reconcile as a working mom, knowing that it's just not going to be possible.
Yeah.
And that's a really, really hard pill to swallow. Um, as the kids have gotten older, I think their demands are more in competition and their interests are also sort of splitting away from each other. And this was really the first year where like I could not make every game, and that was hard. And it was knowing that like, okay, I do need to actually prioritize this child's sleep over being at this one's game. And it's okay because his dad's going to be there and blah,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. I've also hired a bunch of sitters to try and be at the games because we are very serious about like sleep and nap time and bedtime and everything in this house. And there have been a couple of missed naps. I have loosened up a little bit this football season. But it's just not worth it to me to completely throw off a little kid's schedule.
Absolutely.
It's unfair to
Yeah.
them. And then they're melting down later, they're totally thrown off. And it also, frankly, messes up the rest of your day too.
Well, it throws off the
Um,
whole
so
family.
the whole family,
Everyone
yeah.
ends up suffering when basic needs
Yes,
are not
yes.
met.
Are not met. So I have leaned into the sitter game to try and help and be at things. What's gotten a little tricky for us too is that Ben is coaching two different football
Yeah.
teams this year. And so sometimes their practices are at the same time or their games are in opposite directions. This happened last weekend. And so then he has to make a decision or he has to rush between them. And then what am I doing with the other two?
Mhm.
Um, so that's been interesting. I think that for us, what has come up though as well, in addition to sort of like having, I split the kids in my head either into like two and two or three and
Yeah.
one. Um, just based on their levels and and if they can hang or
Yep.
not at certain things. So aside from that, kind of competing interests and activity levels and awake hours of my older two and my younger two, it's also been that when I schedule out a season, I don't factor in things like, oh, my 4 year old actually needs speech therapy. Didn't realize that, and all of a sudden that's thrown into the mix after I have carefully
Hmm.
Tetrised everything. Didn't know this kid needs a reading tutor. Now I need to Tetris that
Yep.
in. And then throw in any type of personal appointments, sick days, because the kids don't get sick at the same
No, never.
time. They get sick one by
Yep.
one to break your spirit, right? It is Milo. It's one by one by
Yeah.
one. And so that's really it for me. I had felt really proud of how I had sketched out the fall and I felt like everything fit really well. But then throw in other
Mhm.
needs that need to be addressed, like the speech, like the reading. There is a third thing that I'm missing that's not coming to mind, but something else is there. And all of a sudden, the schedule is
Yeah.
insanity
Well, and then
and is not
it's
sustainable.
not. And then throw in the things that like perhaps matter to our kids more than anything. Play dates, birthday
Right.
parties. I
Right.
mean, and you can't plan for those.
Yeah.
And
No. And just being able to chill,
yeah.
honestly, like, is today a day
Yep.
off? Like, do I just have a minute? And it's like, oh, I don't want my 9 year old like tweaked, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And so there was a moment actually with my 9 year old, maybe it was last week, and he was like, please, I have not missed a
Oh.
practice. Like, just let me stay home tonight. And we were
Yeah,
like, you know what?
absolutely. Yep.
Fine. And I think that's the thing that if I were to give like advice in this scenario, like, yes, if you've made a commitment to a team, you have a game, whatever, like, you don't want to let your teammates down. But if it's low stakes, like, and your kid is asking for a break, give them the
Yeah.
break. Or if you need the break and you can't rally
Yeah.
to drive them to wherever, like, it's okay to say, like, you know what? No, tonight doesn't work for our
Yeah. I
family.
think it's actually
We're just
a
gonna,
really important thing for kids to learn.
yeah,
We were talking about like basic needs. It's an important lesson for kids to understand and be self-aware of meeting their needs, whatever it is. If it's extra
yeah,
sleep, extra rest, doing nothing,
yeah,
just kind of having that down chill time. Uh,
yeah, saying no,
yeah.
boundaries. Boundaries is, that's something that's so hard to
Yeah.
learn. And I think it's a continual lesson too. It's just not something that you learn and then you're done. Like you kind of always have to reset boundaries, reestablish, redefine, but being able to create them for yourself and self advocate, I think that's huge
Yeah.
too.
But that's an important lesson. I mean, speaking about
Yeah.
your oldest, like that's good for him. I'm really proud of him that
Yeah.
he
I know, I
stepped
am
up and
too.
said, I need this time
Yeah.
off. My
Yeah.
mind, my body, like it just, and like you said, it's low stakes. It's
Needed the
not as
break.
if he's
Yeah.
abandoning a commitment and saying, I want to quit. I want to, or whatever the case may be. He's recognizing that he needs to take care of himself. And I feel
Yeah.
like as parents, that is such a noble quality that kids need to learn early on
Yeah.
and take with them. So I'm proud of him. And Julie's
Thank
proud
you.
of him.
I'll tell him. And I think for myself going forward, I think something that I learned too is like for my winter season, because it's time to sign up for winter things in this house, I want to under
Mm.
commit because of the things that crop up. Oh, the other thing that cropped up, and I know that you will relate to this, is I forgot about like the after school enrichments that the
Yes.
school
Yes.
pushes. And then all their little friends join and they want to join whatever little enrichment it
Yeah.
is. And you're like, oh,
Well, and oftentimes we
okay.
don't even learn about those until
You don't
for
until you're
us,
in the
we
school
only
year.
found
Yeah.
out, for the September through November enrichments, we found out, I think it was the first week of September. So it's
Yeah.
impossible, in theory, you're like, okay, one day, maybe 2 days out of the
Yeah.
school week, they'll do enrichments. But you've already made commitments on several other days after school.
Soccer, baseball, whatever it is.
Exactly.
Yep.
So, and now you also don't know what
Yeah.
they're going to be interested in on when and when that will
Because you
fall
don't know what they
because you don't
are.
know what they are. You
Yeah.
can go based on past
Yeah.
experience, but oftentimes that doesn't prove to be very helpful.
No.
But like,
No.
yeah, to your point, we haven't received the winter enrichments yet for my children's school, and undoubtedly there will be one that one or both children are dying to do, and of course it's
Right.
going to conflict because that's just the
Right.
way the cookie crumbles. But yeah,
Yeah.
trying to navigate
I said
that.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said I had and saying no is you got to say no. But there were two that my oldest was interested in and I was just like absolutely not. And we found out even later actually they did not start until the first week of October.
Oh,
So we were like in full swing
yeah.
with everything and
Yeah.
it made it a little tricky. So we just said yes to one thing for him at least and my next guy has one thing as well, but it's it adds up very very
Yeah.
quickly. But then oh no, go
I
ahead.
think you brought up a good point, right? Which is kind of a segue to prioritization of certain activities.
Mhm.
And I think that that's also an important lesson for kids to learn and for them to have a voice in that. My daughter
Yeah.
was doing, she was testing for her black belt last spring. She wanted to be in a local theater company's musical production. And she was on the softball team that I was head coaching. Head
Coaching.
coaching. So that was happening no matter
Details.
what. And so we actually left it in her hands and we said, in addition to the after school enrichments, and she has
Right.
the equivalent of CCD, religious training, like all of
Right.
the
My
that
kids
other
are in that
stuff. Yes.
together. Yeah, that was
And
fun.
they were making their communion last
It
spring. So
adds. They
that
made their
was a
communion.
big
Yep.
commitment as well. And so, we sat her down and we wanted her to take ownership of her interests and her activities, particularly because she was the one that needed to show up and commit to those things and
Yep.
see them through. And so she ultimately decided to pull out of doing the theater production because it just wasn't manageable. It wasn't, she wasn't going to be able to do it. And
Yeah.
and I was very proud of her that she, it was not what I expected to be for
Yeah.
her to pull back on. And I was very proud of her. And I think that, we have to give our kids those opportunities to make those decisions for themselves to then see it play through and kind of, play
Yeah.
out. And I asked her at
Yeah.
the end when I think it was like maybe in June after the theater production, they do their Friday and Saturday night shows and everything. And I said, so, would you have done anything differently? You're now a black belt. We just, we're ending the softball season. You made your communion, like all these things, right? And she said no. She was like, I missed out, and I
That's
had
good.
friends who did the show. I got to go see the show, and she had a wonderful time. But she's like, I couldn't have done it. Like it wouldn't have been. She didn't say these words, but it wouldn't have been manageable. And I'm happy with the
Yeah.
choice that I made. And so I was really,
Yeah.
I was proud of her.
Yeah.
But I also kind of gave myself a little pat on the back, like of
As you
giving her
should.
giving her a voice in what her
Yeah.
commitments were.
And schedule
Yeah.
looked like. I think that's huge that you guys did that. I think giving the kids a choice, it also, I think, invites less
Yeah,
fighting,
that's
right?
for
Like when
sure.
these moments come up,
Yep.
you give them agency, you let them help craft their schedule. And I think that that makes a big
Sure.
difference when they're actually going out the door night in and night out. And I think even if she had said, oh, I wish I had done things differently, I think that's
Yeah,
good too. Like then that's a good lesson of
absolutely.
kind of helping you understand the things that are important to
Yep.
you and might help you make a different decision for next
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that you guys gave her the choice. I think that that makes all the difference. I think the other thing that is hard for me with kids having a lot of activities is how much my kids thrive on a tight schedule.
Yeah.
That makes it hard
Yeah.
because when there is nothing going on, they're, I'm trying to think of a more polite word
Feral?
than feral's good. I was going to say disaster,
Uh-huh.
but feral goes hand in hand with it really. But they are like caged
Yeah. Yeah.
animals, and they need structure, they need consistency, they need routine. And so it feels to me like a very fine line between being appropriately structured
Hmm.
and not so much that it's going to overwhelm
Yeah.
them, because we certainly can't do
Yeah.
nothing. Like that's just not an option for us in terms of how we function, how they function. Like we need something to anchor our days around.
Absolutely.
Uh, but you don't want to overtire their little bodies, but whew, do they need
Absolutely.
something?
But I think that's where the vesting them with a voice really comes in, right? Because if
Hmm.
they are, let's call it overscheduled or even properly scheduled,
Right.
whatever you want to call it, whatever. If they feel that they can step up and say, okay, on this one particular occasion, I need to step back, that's much different than we have an
Yeah.
entire day with nothing to do. OMG, how are we going to make
Yeah.
it through this day?
Yeah.
Keeping in mind that the kids really do thrive on being busy and being occupied and
Yeah.
having activities. So I think those lessons go hand in hand.
Yeah, and I think something else that I struggle with is how early kids in our area seem to be quote unquote
Oh,
specialized.
that is a topic, Katie. That I could talk your
Yeah.
ear off about that. I am like the
Yeah.
biggest proponent for try everything, specialize late if
Yeah.
at all. You and I are both I'm going to say athletes. I'm not even going to say former athletes. I'm going to just go there and say athletes,
You're an
right? We'll
athlete.
pretend. Um and it's so important that kids get introduced to so many different activities or even
Yeah.
music, why, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But kids, they're kids. They need to be exposed to the world
Yeah.
as much to the extent that you can, and you have the resources to be able to do that, and the opportunities. They don't know what they're, going to love at 15 years old, 20 years old, whatever the
Yeah.
case may be.
Yeah.
But I am I cannot tell you how many parents I know that have their kids specialize early, particularly when it comes to athletics. And I
Yeah.
see it as such a detriment to the child.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of our kids, and I don't know that any of my kids has found the thing yet that they like super
Yeah.
love. And one of my kids is very talented at one sport, and we've heard it from a couple of people that have no stakes in it,
Yeah.
right? And he going into this fall, he was like, I don't want to do it. And I'm like, well, fine. Like, I'm not forcing you into
Yeah.
this. Like, you want, and I do think that he should go back at some point and kind of like weave in and weave out. But like, just because this is another thing too, right? Like, just because people are saying you're good doesn't mean that you have to be all in on this,
Yeah.
particularly at your age. So he wanted to try new to him sports this
Yep.
fall, which he did. We've learned a lot. We've learned some other things that are not for him. And it's funny, Julie, one of the things that's not for him, he was like, the only reason that I did this was because I thought Aunt Julie's son was doing this
Oh
too.
no.
And I was like, well, I'm sorry you
Wait,
got
which
that
sport was it?
information.
What did you think?
Soccer,
Oh,
which
he
your child
is.
is
Yeah.
doing, but
But
not
not in the
where
same. Well,
we had
and that's a
put
really good
my
point
child.
too, right? Which is that so many of our kids' interests at this age are driven by their friendship groups
Their
or
friends,
their,
yeah.
their interests within their friendship groups. I can tell you that's how my daughter has really come to love the game of softball, is not necessarily because, she's entirely passionate about it or a phenomenal softball player, but she has cultivated such strong friendships from this. I mean,
Yep, yeah.
we discovered that just up the street and down the road, it's less than a 5-minute bike ride, is another girl the same age as her that we had never met. before she started softball, just for this
Yep.
particular year. And now they are fast friends. They ride to each other's houses on their bikes. Like they're very, very close. Um, and I think if that child was not doing softball, that might influence her
Yep.
commitment to doing it,
Decision. Yeah.
8 months out of the
Yeah.
year. Um,
Which again is
it
fine. Like
is.
it's fine to have your friends at this age like influence the activities that you're picking because again, it is supposed to be fun
Yes.
at this age. It's not supposed to be
Yes.
psychotic,
And that's
which
part of specializing
sometimes
early
it is.
is,
Yeah.
oftentimes it's driven a lot of times by the parents, not necessarily the child,
Hmm.
and they're, overcommitted to doing it to the point where
Yeah.
it loses its fun. And its value
Yeah.
to them, which
Yeah.
usually is the source of the value, usually is fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm
Yeah.
100% on the same page as you. I think just expose them to as much as you can. I mean, even like things, skateboarding. Our neighbor had a skateboard, and
Right.
my son was like, "Oh, I want to give that a try." I'm like, "Go for
Yeah.
it!" Like, yeah,
Have fun.
yeah,
Yeah.
have a good time.
Just not
Yes,
inside. I have the walls in my house to tell you, not inside.
yes,
Yeah. I give my sister a lot of credit. Her oldest daughter is now in college and she's playing lacrosse for college, but she played very competitively and with club teams, both lacrosse and ice hockey, like through high school. And the abuse that my sister got, and probably my niece, from these coaches
yeah,
saying my sport's more important. She needs to quit the other one. No, you need to do this. You need to commit, blah, blah, blah. And she for as long as she wanted to do both, she let her do
yeah.
both.
Good for her. I mean, there's so
And it
much.
worked out.
It not
Yeah.
only does it work out, but there's so much data to support the position that being a well-rounded athlete and doing. I actually
Right.
there was a Olympic athlete that graduated from our high school that recently spoke to this and was talk.
The
Yes, the
swimmer?
swimmer. And I don't think he, from pardon my recollection, because it's probably totally off, but it was something along the lines of he wasn't even introduced to the sport of swimming until he was much older, but he was an
Yeah.
athlete. So he, in
Right.
middle school and high school, he had
Adapted.
done,
Yeah.
he was doing three sports, and lettered in all of them, but didn't really get introduced to the sport that he ended up becoming, so phenomenal at until much later than many of his
Yeah.
peers who, were successful, but actually not as
Right.
successful as he was. And he does attribute his success to being a well rounded athlete and having some
Yeah.
of those experiences with other sports that his peers did not have.
Yeah. Yeah. I do. I think it makes a big difference. And I also think it helps with injury prevention
That's for
too,
sure.
right? Being able to like use different muscles and know how everything kind of works
Yep.
together.
Yep. Good point.
All right, so bottom line, we try. It doesn't always work.
Yes. And you know what? I'm going
But
to
just
call
like,
back to our last podcast, which is
yeah,
find your village, use your
find
village,
your
right?
village.
Because
Use your
part
village.
and
Yeah.
parcel of what we're talking about here of the overscheduling and overcommitting and being overwhelmed is, if you've got a good support system in place, it can make the overcommitting and the overwhelming nature of our everyday lives a little bit more tolerable and manageable and breathable. So,
100%.
yeah.
Yeah. Look at that full circle. Beautifully done. Should we talk
Yes, yes,
content and the
yeah.
reason why I'm wearing
I
such a
was actually
sparkly?
going to note it, but I'm glad you're bringing it up. Yes.
Hmm. So, our content discussion today, no surprise to anyone that has not been under a rock this month, is the new Taylor Swift album,
Yes.
Life of
Oh,
a
it's so
Showgirl.
good.
This is the jacket that I wore to the Eras tour
Yes.
last
Yes.
October.
Dare I say it's got a
It
little
kind
bit of
of,
an opalite hue. No, I don't know. I just wanted to say opalite.
little hue. I know you're like, I just want to say that word. Because of the green in it, I was sort of like calling out when I went to the Eras tour. I was like, this is sort of like my reputation. It was like my combo reputation, lover. There's some blue
Yep.
1989 vibes. I was trying to do it all. But new album, I love it.
It's so good.
No notes.
No. You know what? I do
No
have a note.
notes.
I do have a note, which is that I
Oh,
have
oh,
a
let's hear
9-year-old
your note.
daughter.
Oh, you're one of those.
And
You're
so
one of
it's
those.
just been a little bit difficult
Yep.
because I am all in on this album. I love it. There's so much that I'm getting out of it, whether it's
Yeah.
my, fervent passion for Shakespeare or,
Oh my God.
right? Or,
There was something, I have to cut you off. There was something like somebody put out some, I don't know what it was, a post on Instagram, something that was like, man, really big day for feminist eldest daughters who are obsessed with
yep, sure
Shakespeare. And
was.
I was like, oh, yes,
Yep,
yes,
yep.
it is.
So and even Elizabeth Taylor, like just a lot
Yeah.
of, interests of mine, and things that I grew up passionate about and still, enjoy and love.
Yeah.
And finding that connection with my daughter, right? And
Yeah.
her saying, "Well, who is Elizabeth Taylor?" I'm like, "Girl, let's
You're like,
talk."
oh, buckle up.
And actually we can put Elizabeth Taylor and Shakespeare and we can combine that and
Yes, we
yes.
can. And I combined it in my senior
Woo
thesis.
woo!
It was on the taming of the
Yes, yes,
shrew.
which is a
That's for another
phenomenal
time.
film.
Yes.
So, but I do have to say the language has been a bit of a barrier.
Are you doing the clean version with your daughter?
Absolutely,
Or you, yeah.
110%.
How I have not listened to the clean version. How ooh, that made a noise. How different is it from the unedited?
Um, I find it to be actually more enjoyable, just
Hmm.
because
Probably because you're
I'm
not
not stressed.
stressing.
I'm not like on edge.
Yeah.
But it's more when she's like listening independently, because she does
Mm,
have, a kid's Alexa in her room.
yeah,
Oh, Alexa lit up because she can hear her name.
obviously.
Um, and just kind of, still making sure that I'm monitoring, even though like it has the explicit filter and everything. Like just, I
Yeah.
don't rely on
Yeah.
technology to
Good
always
tech.
be
Yeah.
working
Yeah.
properly.
Totally.
Can't do that
Totally.
as a parent. So it it's okay. It's been perfectly fine, but it's also navigating her enjoyment of this album as it compares to her peers, right? And her peers coming in and saying
Mm,
like, "Oh, there's a naughty word or there's a whatever the case may be." And my daughter has no idea what they're talking
like frame of
about.
reference there.
And
Yes. Yeah,
so I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that's been
Totally.
kind of and so there have been a lot of questions about why she's only able to listen to the clean version as we call it,
Yeah.
and kind of navigating that has been
Yeah.
new, not a challenge but just
Yeah.
new, and
New.
kind
Yeah.
of figuring that out. But I do actually enjoy, because I love to blast it in the car on the way to school or on the way to softball practice
Yeah.
or whatever the case may be, and
Yeah.
she's enjoying it so much, so it's been really lovely to have this common, to
Like
yeah,
love.
this
Yeah.
common enjoyment for this album, and it also being new. We haven't had a new album from Taylor since my daughter has really gotten into her
Like gotten into
music.
her.
So
Oh,
this
that's
for
fun.
us is
Yeah.
really like the first opportunity to enjoy the newness of it
To
together,
jam.
which
Yeah.
has been super fun. Yeah.
That's so sweet. Yeah. I yeah, I've only listened with my 2-year-old in the car because he doesn't know what's going
Yeah.
on. Um, but yeah, interesting about like, people from school hearing one version or another version and kind of the conversation that that sparks. But I love it. It's interesting to hear some people say that it's not their
Mhm.
favorite, and I have this theory that OGs really love it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
people that came to her during COVID and whose first experience with her was like folklore and
Yeah.
Evermore, I think they're the ones having the
I
harder
agree. I agree. There
time.
are a lot of nods to some of her original, or the
Yeah.
sound, the overall, in my opinion, like some of
Yes,
that
the sound.
overall
Yeah.
sound, does harken back to her early music, which is perhaps why
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it so much with my daughter because it's like
Yeah.
very,
Yeah. You
um,
feel
yes, it's
youthful.
very youthful
Yes.
and it's bringing back my
Yeah.
memories of, first time hearing
Yeah.
Taylor, or at
Rocking
least the
out.
first few years of hearing Taylor.
Yeah. Okay. Favorites.
Oh.
What are your favorites from the album? Hit me. I mean, there's only 12.
Yes. So
Hit me
hands
top
down,
four, top
my
five.
daughter. Ooh, four. I get that many. Wow. Okay.
I think
So
so. Well, I'm having a hard time
okay,
picking,
I'm gonna give you
so
my top two that if you asked the DJ on my Spotify, they are
what
constantly,
they
yes,
are.
they are
Okay.
constantly played, which is Opalite and Wishlist.
Mm-hmm.
Wishlist just hits really deeply with me, as it relates to my relationship with my husband and kind
Yeah.
of the what we saw for our future and raising kids. Like it just really during the chorus, I can see my kids playing out on the street on our at
Yeah.
the end of the cul-de-sac. Like it just really, really feels,
Like hits
yeah, it
home.
does.
Yeah.
And then Opalite for me is just so happy and
Mm.
um, and uplifting. Like it's kind of my go-to if I just need to kind of distract myself. We were talking about being
Yeah.
overscheduled and just we're trying to find time to schedule today. And we've had a lot on our plate. And so when I'm feeling, a little bit overwhelmed since the album came out, that's been my go-to is just, put on
Nice.
Opalite. Um,
I
yeah,
love it.
I'm gonna give you, I guess, my next two in line, which are my daughter's two
Okay.
favorites, which
Okay.
are the first two songs on the album, which I don't think
Honestly, they're in no, they're in my
they
top.
are.
They're in my top like,
Yes,
grouping or whatever.
yes.
They're so
Yeah, they're
good.
so
They're so
good.
good. Yeah.
Fate of Ophelia is wonderful. I think my daughter would say Elizabeth Taylor is her favorite. I think
Yeah.
it's just like kind of, first of all, the melody is just fantastic.
Yeah.
And
Well, I love just shouting
yes,
Elizabeth Taylor
yes,
during my day.
yes.
Like out of nowhere, just
Uh,
letting it
yes.
go.
And so I think, both of those are really good. They're really fun.
Yeah.
Fate of Ophelia starts off a little bit more somber and a little bit more
Yeah.
serious, but it grows, a little. You get a little
Yeah.
swag as we get further into the song. But yeah, those would be my second two. What about you?
Nice. My favorite is Wood.
Really?
And yes, forget any like innuendo you think you're hearing in
Mhm.
there. I think it's not nearly as bad as everyone is like, oh, like feeling so scandalized by. It is so like Jackson 5 to me. I love the beat of it
It does have a
so
great
much.
beat.
It is that like happy, it reminds me of like Beyonce's Love on
Mhm.
Top. Like I love that sort of like upbeat,
It's so,
pulling on Jackson
yeah.
5, old school,
It's so
like,
interesting that you
kind of like
say
bopping your shoulders
Jackson 5
vibes.
because the entire album to me has nods to the 70s. Like there are, and I
Yeah,
I don't
there's
even know what exactly it's I don't know if it's a certain like couple of
mm,
strings in some songs and the
yeah,
beat in others and the lyrics in some, but it just really this whole album cries 70s groovy,
like
like
other era.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so my number 2 for me is like 90s Riot Girl sound, and that is actually Romantic.
Romantic is,
Because
yeah.
I think that could hands down be on the soundtrack for 10 Things I Hate About You.
Ooh, oh, it really could. Ooh,
There is my Taming of the
okay,
Shrew full
okay. I
circle
see what you
moment.
did
Okay,
there.
because that's another Shakespearean retelling of the Taming of the
Love that.
Shrew. I think it could so easily be on that album.
Yeah,
Like just, and I am obsessed with that movie. I'm obsessed with the songs in that movie, and so those are my two top. Um, I love Fate of Ophelia. I love Elizabeth Taylor. I love Father Figure.
I enjoy Father Figure a lot. It's
Oh,
it's beautiful. Yeah, that
I love the George
yes,
Michael influence there. I love that he got a writing
yeah,
credit and they all seem like super happy about that. Um, but for me, the way that I'm interpreting it is the evolution of her relationship with Scott Borchetta and getting back the rights to her music.
yeah.
Like at the end when it's like whose portrait's on the mantle and I'm like, "Yeah, yours is. That's right."
Yes,
Like so that just it feels almost like as her fan, like this cathartic journey of
I like that.
coming into your own
Yeah,
power and getting back what's
yep.
rightfully
Claiming
yours.
ownership of it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the Godfather references, like all of it. I'm all in on that one. So those are my favorites. I honestly though, Travis was right. No skips.
Yeah,
No
none,
skips. It's
none,
a no
none.
skips. 12
Yeah,
hits.
but
Big
it's Taylor.
fan.
Did we expect much different?
No, never. Never. I'm a loyalist until the
Yes,
end.
yes, yes, yes. Oh,
But this was
yes, it
delightful
was.
getting to spend time together and chat about the mistakes that we're making and chat about Taylor
We
Swift.
love it. We love it.
Just like a regular
Just
phone call for
another
us.
day.
Just another
Mm.
day. So I'm going to share a quick mom hack, which is a Sunday meeting.
Mm.
I think it's very helpful to sit down with the kids on a Sunday night and walk them through all of the overscheduling that is coming up in your week. I think go kid by kid and just explain what the schedule is so that there's fewer surprises when you actually get into your week.
Absolutely.
And the other thing that we like to do in those meetings is do a little accolade for each kid. Like, you did this really well this week, and kind of give
Oh,
everybody,
I love that. A
a
little
little
shout
moment.
out.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
little pat on the
Yeah.
back. And then taking them through the
Yeah.
schedule. And also, giving the floor to them. Like, is there anything that you want to talk about? Spoiler alert, there really hasn't been.
I love that.
But
No,
I think
I
this,
think
yeah,
setting and managing expectations is a huge part of parenthood.
yeah,
And particularly when you have kids of different ages, I could see, for
yeah,
example, during the Sunday meeting, it really benefiting all three of your younger ones to hear about your oldest and what
yeah,
they have on their schedule versus what,
yeah,
your second to youngest might have on his schedule, and kind of like,
yeah,
oh, okay, like that's what is might be coming
yeah.
down the pike for me someday, and just kind of like putting it all out there. I think it's really important for kids.
Yeah. It also helps too, like, because they're at different schools, if someone has a day off and somebody doesn't, like getting ahead of that a little
Yes,
bit.
yes.
But it's good for just keeping everything above
I love
board.
that.
So that's my
I
little
love
hack.
that hack. Can I
Uh,
also give another?
Thanks.
I'm all about these callbacks today. Apparently that's
Yeah,
my
yeah.
the
Give me a
theme.
call back.
So my son has started brushing his teeth in the shower every
Yes! Yes, I
and
love
he
it. Oh, I'm so
loves it.
happy.
He loves it. This is
Isn't it
something
so
he's
good? It
never
makes it
done
so
before.
easy.
It never crossed my mind to do, even though candidly I've done it,
Yes.
and I
Yeah,
did it a lot. As I would say probably like in high school and college when, you're just
yeah.
like trying to kill as many
Time's
birds
more
with
limited. Yeah,
whatever stones you got.
yeah.
But no, it's really been instrumental for him. I will say
Yay! Oh,
seriously,
that
because
makes my heart so
the
happy.
notion of him getting out of the shower and not being done with the routine
Yes.
has been a really
Yes.
difficult hill to climb, and now it's gone.
Oh, I
It's
love.
just
This makes
gone.
me so
It's
happy.
lovely. So, thank you. As
Yay!
much as we are best
You are
friends and I feel like we know
welcome.
so much about each other, like,
I hadn't given that one away.
no,
I know.
no.
I
So
know.
I treasure your little
Ah, I'm so
treats that you
happy.
throw my way.
I'm so glad. I'm
Yes,
so glad.
yes,
Well, perfect. Well, thank you guys for coming back to us.
yes.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And we're going to be back next time to chat a core part of our personalities, which is being Disney
Yeah,
adults.
buddy.
So
Can't
stay
wait.
tuned. Thank you for spilling the tequila with
Thank you
us,
very
even though today it
much.
was caffeine. Till next
Yes.
time,
Till
guys.
next time.
Cheers.